So polynomial is supposed to be any equation that contain more than two terms, okay? Because poly mean more than two and nomial mean terms, right? So so we say that um, any equation that contain contain more than two terms, right? Are what we call the polynomials, right? But those terms should be the variables, right? Not the constant, right? Like if somebody wrote 3a 3 plus a minus b, right? So if we say that a and b are the constant, then this isn't going to be polynomial. Or in simple term, the meaning of the polynomial, or like this equation satisfies the meaning of the polynomial, but in reality, in actual maths, the polynomial should contain some sort of some equation that has some variables, right? So okay. So if we have any equation that contain more than two term, okay, so that is what we call the polynomial, okay, and can I use this? Oh, nice. Let's use this. Okay. So now, so by the way, what I'm saying is poly, okay, mean more than two, okay, and nomial mean term, right? So more than two, okay, so more than two term, right? So this is the simple concept of polynomial, right? You may have heard that there is a binomial and monomial, okay? So binomial and monomial, okay? Monomial, okay? So binomial is going to be the two-term expression, okay? Two-term expression, right? And this is going to be one-term expression, okay? Right? This is the first, right? Now, please do not confuse the concept of binomial, monomial, or polynomial with with the power of the equation, right? So, like um, if we have y is equals to, let's say p of x, p of x, p of x is equals to 2x plus 4 or plus 5, let's say. So this, I can say this as a polynomial, but let's assume that. Or let me just write this as binomial, right? So this is a linear equation, right? Linear, okay? Linear equation, right? If you have ax squared, or let's say x squared plus 4x plus 4, so this is going to be a polynomial, right? That contains three term, right? And side by side is the quadratic value, right? Quadratic number or quadratic equation. Quadratic equation. Quadratic equation, right? Right. Another thing that is going to be a polynomial would be maybe x cube plus 4x plus 4 is going to be a cubic equation, right? Cubic equation, right? And this is also a polynomial, right? equation and polynomial, right? And if you consider one more equation, okay, so that is going to be x power 4 plus 4x. Okay, let me just take squared and this as 4x plus 4. Let's say 4x squared plus 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus x plus 2. Let's say a random equation. Okay, so this is going to be quadratic equation. Okay, quadratic equation, right? You don't have to remember the name, right? So and after that we'll have quintic equation, right? The equation that has a maximum power of 5, right? But all of them are basically polynomial except the first one, right? Because the first one is a binomial, right? Like the linear equation is a binomial, right? So now moving on. Acha. So okay, so this is a simple concept of the polynomial, right? So polynomial require three term at least, right? Two term at least, more than two term at least, right? If you have irrespective of the powers, right? You just required three terms or more than that, right? So that will be known as the polynomial, right? Now, um, there are something that you have to understand before moving on to the topic. And the first thing is that you should know what is the root of the equation, right? So basically these are something that you guys have discussed in your AS level. So but let's go through it. Okay. So mm, root based mm, 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 roots of equation. Okay. So basically, root of the equation is supposed to be the point at which the equation intersects the given point, right? The given y point, right? So this is the root of the equation, right? Or this is the concept of the root, right? It sometimes lies on the specific axis, or it sometimes, come on, or it sometimes just, see, that's very new about it. Okay, fine. So, okay. So root of the equation is basically any value of x corresponding for which the y value is given, right? So we say that root of the equation is supposed to be the value of x for the given value of y. Okay, right. So for example, if I have y is equals to 2x plus 5, okay? So, and let's say at x at y is equals to 0. Can you guys find out the root of x? Yes,
Minus 5 over 2.
very good. So x is going to be minus 5 over 2 or 2.5, right? So this is going to be the root, right? Generally, a root is a point where where the curve intersects the x-axis. Generally, root is a point, right? But sometimes if you take any random point right from your side and the curve is intersecting that, so it could also be your root or solution as well, right? So root or the solution is basically the point where the graph meet either with another graph or with another line or with x-axis or y-axis, right? So in general, root or solution is a point okay, where the graph uh, where the graph actually so where the graph cuts the other graph, the line, right, or curve or axis, right, axis, right. So this is the concept of the root or the solution, right. So sometime the root would be like this, like imagine you have the graph, okay, and you have a straight line, okay, and a curve, right. So these are the two solutions, okay. These are the two solution or these are the two roots of the graph, right? Right? Clear? And sometime if you have like graph like this, right? And it would and the graph is intersecting the x-axis, let's say. So these are the 2 points that will be considered as roots of the graph, right? So generally at this point, the x-axis value is 0, right? So and in this graph, this value is going to be the point where the x-axis value is 0, right? So there would be one more possibility in that is if you have the graph, okay, and you have a curve or two curve, let's say, mm, you have a curve, okay, and you have another curve, okay. So the two curves are intersecting at this point. So this is going to be the solution for this graph, right? So sorry, all the all the dots, okay, representing the solution or the roots, right? So if one value of the root is given, so you can figure out the other value of the root, right? So this is another concept of like the root, and these are the basic concepts. I'm not taking you directly onto the topic. I'm just explaining some of the terminologies, and then I'll take you to the topic, right? So this is the second thing that you should know, okay? And that is the root of the equation or the solution, the concept of the solution or the root, right? And okay, we have three more things to consider. Hmm. So the first thing that is to discuss is the factor. We have the concept of remainder, right? And we have the concept of um, mixed fraction. Okay. So if we talk about the factor, right? So can you guys tell me what a factor is? Yes, any idea? So basically we say factors. Okay. Factor is supposed to be any number, any number. Factor is supposed to be any number that when you divide that number with a given equation or with a value, so the resultant or the result would be zero, right? Or the remainder would be zero, right? So factor is supposed to be, oops, come on. Okay, factor is supposed to be any number, okay, when divided by the, when divided by the, mm, आप क्या लिखे, the given value gives zero remainder, right? So, so yep. Now there shouldn't be any A, it would just be I remainder. Okay. Now if we say that if we consider two examples, let's say the first one is um 16 divided by 4. Okay. So 4 is 16 is going to be the um dividend and 4 is a divisor. Okay. So when you do 16 divided by 4, you will get 4, right? 4. Okay. As your question, right? But your remainder is 0, right? So over here, 16 is completely divisible by 4, so the remainder is 0, right? So 4 is the factor of 16, right? Clear? 4 is the factor of 16, right? This is one concept, right? Now the other concept is, let's say if I'm telling you guys that 20 plus a, okay, when you divide that by 5, okay, so the remainder turns out, or the remainder would be 10, okay. So that this gives the remainder as 10, right? Now there are two type of questions that they can give you in the exam, right? So the first one is what I've shown, and the second one is this one, okay? Not like these, but obviously a very high difficulty level. But if you solve, so what you do, 20 plus a divided by 5, okay? You can either separate the things out, so 20 divided by 5 plus a divided by 5, okay? And or you can rather do the long division, right? So that gives you 4 plus a over 5, right? And I am saying that the remainder as 10, right? So you can put your remainder in. Wait, let me just do that way instead of, okay, so 20 plus a, right? So outside is 5. Okay, so if I'm taking 5, forza, so that is 20, right? And I put negative sign and 0. Okay, so I'll get a 0 from this side and plus a, right? So now I've left with a as my remainder, right, over here. And the question mentioned that the remainder is 10, so I can say that 10 is my remainder, or a is my remainder, right? Because both of the things are equal. So you can basically compare the two values, right? In some of the cases, the remainder come out in the form of linear factor or quadratic factor, and they mention the remainder as well in the value, right? So you basically have to solve that polynomial to find out the remainder, and then you can solve it further, right? So these are the concept of the this is the concept of the factors, right? And to prove that whether it is a factor of the equation or not, you just equate it to zero and put it back into the question equation, right? So to prove that a certain number is a factor of the equation, right? So what you have to do, um, okay, find the critical value, critical value, okay, and put it into the given equation, right? So when you put that into the given equation, it should give zero, right? If it gives zero, then it is proven that you have the polynomial, you have the factor, you have the given number as a factor, right? So if it gives zero, then the given critical value, we have seen what is the critical value, okay? Critical value as a, then the given critical value as a factor. Okay, this is the concept, right? I later on explain everything with the examples, okay? For now, I'm just writing down the things, okay? Now, one more thing that you have to remember is the remainder, right? So for remainder, for remainder, you know that if you are dividing something, if you are dividing an equation with some value, wait, remainder, okay, fine, okay. So ये क्या हो गया? Dividing the polynomial, okay, by given value does not give, does not give zero, zero at the end, right? This is the simple concept, right? Like if you have one of the scenario is let's say 17 over 4, right? Over 4. So you know that when you start dividing that by, so you won't get any specific value. So 4 ones are 4, 4 2 3 are 12, and 3.5, so right? Or maybe if you consider this as 17, okay? So now it would be even difficult, okay? 4 times 4 is 16, and point 0.1 would be recurring, right? So you can say that 4 is going to be the quotient, and the remainder is going to be 1, okay? So over here, remainder, okay? So this is the case. Now, they can ask you in another way that they'll mention the remainder, okay, and they may hide something in the equation from the equation, okay, and they'll ask you to find out the remainder, okay, or to find out that value, sorry, right? So this is the concept of the remainder, and we have done the concept of the fraction factors. Now we have the concept of the fraction, okay, and then we have to connect it with the remaining topic, okay. Now let's talk about the fraction. These are very simple concepts, by the way, okay. Okay, fine. So why I can't use the same color every time? Okay, so basically mixed fraction. Okay, okay. So mixed fraction, or just the concept of the fraction, is basically very simple, right? If you want to divide one thing by the other thing, so you can just do the division sign and then you solve, right? Now, if I have a fraction that is written that way, or let's say um 14x plus 4. Okay, I just want you to divide this value, right? Not actually, but just want to divide the value. Okay, so if you divide that value, so there will be some sort of number, right? That will come out, right? And that will be the fraction, right? So over here, this 4, which is divided, or which is dividing the things, is going to be divisor, right? And this is going to be the quotient. quotient, quotient, okay? So and you have some sort of remainder, right? Whenever you solve this type of question, there will be some sort of remainder, right? Now let's try solving the equation, let's say 17 over 4, right? Don't use the calculator, okay? Just you do the long division, okay? So what we do is make a car and input 14 in it, okay? And you have 4 out there, okay? So how many times do we have to read 14? So we have to read it 3 times. Okay. So okay. So this 12, by the way, this is 4 as well. Okay. So wait, 4 times, no, no, no. 4 times 3, 4 times 3 is 12, 13, 14, there should be 2. Okay. There should be, come on, 12, and there should be 2, right? Sorry. So when you do that way, so you'll get the remainder. Okay. Okay. So there the remainder, right? This is the remainder. If you, and this is the question, by the way, right? quotient, right? And please don't forget to Memorize the name. Okay, this is, by the way, is going to be the divider. Okay, divisor or dividend, right? And that is going to be the divisor. This is your divisor. Come on, divisor, right? There should be I, not E. Okay, divisor, right? So these are the four terminologies that you should know. Okay, after that, if we try to divide this thing, right, like the way we did, so I can rewrite 17 over 4 as 4 whole and then divided by 2. Sorry, divided by, no, 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 okay. 4 in the denominator, okay, and 2 whole, and then we have 3, right? So 4 3s are 2, or 4 2s are 8, plus 3 11, right? So this is how you write, right? Or in other way, q is a question, right? Basically this is a mixed fraction, right? This is the mixed fraction, but actually in maths nothing like the mixed fraction exists, right? Because this 2 times 3 over 4 is basically 2 plus 3 over 4, right? And when you add them two, right, you will end up getting the same answer as 14 or 11, 14 over 11, oh sorry, 14 over 4, right? So if you just look at look at here, so this is the quotient, right? This is the quotient, right? And this is going to be the divisor, and this 2 is basically the remainder, right? So this equation is like quite important. So if you just write yourself, okay, so remainder plus, okay, divider, right? This is a very important thing that will be useful in differentiation and integration, right? So be very clear, right? So this is the concept, or these are the way we can write the things, okay? And this is basically equivalent to what? This is basically equivalent to dividend, dividend over the divisor, right? Divide the right. So dividend over divisor is basically for 17 over 4, and the rest of the things are like this, right? So basically, wait, um, 1 render quotient. Okay, if I rearrange this, it should be, wait, just rearrange one thing, please. This should be like this. Wait, the remainder 4 remains in the denominator, okay, as a divisor, right? And 3 or 2 becomes in the remainder, okay? and plus that q, which is a question over here. Like this is the 3 and 3 is the question. Okay, so TIENT, right? This is the, okay, I just mix up the, okay, so I just mixes up the order, so kindly correct this one. Okay, so question plus 2 over 4, which is the remainder over divisor, right? And over here you also have to do question right here. Okay, remainder on the top. Okay, and divisor times this thing, right? So by the way, this is very important, right? This equation is like quite important because they're useful in couple of the scenarios, right? In mainly in differentiation and integration. So please keep in mind that. Okay, and you can also write, whether you can also write this equation as quotient q uotient, right, times divisor, right? Quotient time divisor. So yeah, plus remainder is equals to dividend, right? Dividend, right? This will also be useful in this chapter, right? Now, these remainder, question, divisor, and dividend, these are all related with the long division or the normal division of the like the division technique that you have that you guys have come across in your O levels, right? And in your early stages, right? In your 5 or 6. So we say that the long division. Okay. So those are the methods that we will going to use in this chapter, but this is the theory up till now. Okay, so I'm stopping the class right here, and from tomorrow inshallah we'll be going through some of the some of the questions, and alongside that, alongside with, we'll try to understand um the methods or the solution technique, right? So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Inshallah from tomorrow we'll do some of the questions, right? Chal. Okay, guys, take care. Allah Hafiz.
love is
Allah Hafiz.
love.
Allah Hafiz.